Hello and a very warm welcome to Verdict 2014 right here on Rajya Sabha television. I'm your host Frank Pereira. Let's begin with the headlines. Campaigning for fifth phase of polling gathers pace in Jharkhand and Jammu and Kashmir. Final phase of polling on December 20th. Voter turnout falls for fourth phase. Kashmir records 49% in 18 constituencies. Jharkhand records over 61% turnout. Fate of 217 candidates sealed. Residents of Jammu and Kashmir braved the cold to vote for change and development. Sunday marked the fourth of the 5 phases of polls. Moderate polling was recorded in the 18 constituencies that went to polls, despite some of these being separatist strongholds. 49% of the electorate came out to exercise their franchise.
We have recorded 49% over the entire phase 4 today. This compares with 45.65 in 2008 assembly elections.
A vote for change and development. 18 constituencies went to polls in the fourth phase on Sunday, including the state's summer and winter capitals, Srinagar and Jammu. Development after the devastation caused by the flood was topmost on the voters' minds.
श्रीनगर में अभी इतनी ये सैलाब आया, इतनी परेशानी हुई, तो अभी सब कुछ यहाँ तहस नहस हो गया है, तो इसकी डेवलपमेंट जरूरी है. कोई ना कोई नुमाइंदा चाहिए अच्छा, जो इसकी श्रीनगर की डेवलपमेंट करे.
वोटिंग का जोश तो काफी है, जस्ट बिकॉज अब इम्पोर्टेंट है एंड मोर गवर्नमेंट चेंज हो रही है. सब लोग चाहते हैं कि दिस शुड बी अ गुड गवर्नमेंट, तो उसके लिए यूथ काफी ज्यादा इस बार मोटिवेटेड है.
Chief Minister Omar Abdullah and the patron of the main opposition, People's Democratic Party, Mufti Muhammad Saeed, both exuded confidence they would get a majority mandate. Abdullah asserted he wasn't concerned about the anti-incumbency factor, saying he hoped the people would reward him for the good work done by his government. Abdullah is contesting polls from 2 constituencies of Sonwar and Birwa this time, instead of seeking a re-election from Gandarbal district.
What is peculiar about Mufti Muhammad Sayyid is his blatant regional politics. I don't think the voters of Jammu and Kashmir are fools. They have always seen through Mufti Muhammad Sayyid's unique brand of politics, and he will be justly rewarded for this as well.
Meanwhile, Saeed also sounded confident of winning a clear mandate.
मेरा अपना अंदाजा है जम्मू कश्मीर में पीपल्स डेमोक्रेटिक पार्टी की जो परफॉर्मेंस रही है वो अच्छी मानी जाती है. ट्रांसपेरेंसी, गुड गवर्नेंस, करप्शन फ्री डेवलपमेंट और एक किस्म का माहौल, पीस का माहौल, ट्रेड अक्रॉस LOC, पाकिस्तान से बेहतरीन रिश्ते. मेरे ख्याल में पीपल्स डेमोक्रेटिक विल हैव टोटल मैंडेट, डिसाइसिव मैंडेट. वैसे
The 5-phase elections for the 87-member Kashmir Assembly began on November 25th. In all the phases, the voter turnout has been high, more than 70% in the first 2 phases and about 58% in the third phase. Polling will end on December 20th, with the result being declared on December 23rd. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, a case has been filed against a BJP candidate from Shopia, Javed Ahmed Qadri. Qadri was caught on camera beating up a man in a polling booth. Another party nominee, Hina Bhatt, allegedly slapped an election official claiming irregularities. An FIR was lodged after an election agent of an independent candidate alleged that he was manhandled by a BJP candidate in Shopian district. Chief Electoral Officer Umang Narula said he has asked the district election officer to investigate the matter and submit a report. Meanwhile, there were protests outside polling stations in Srinagar after many of the residents were not allowed to cast their vote. They alleged that despite having voter slips, they were not allowed to vote as the polling officials wanted to see their original voter ID cards. They claimed that they had lost these in the recent floods. Unhappy and angry at not being allowed to exercise their franchise, residents took to slogan shouting and demonstrated outside the polling booths. Meanwhile, polling officers say that they were only following the instructions given by the Election Commission.
तो हम वोट डालने आए, अभी मेरा वोट पहला है, तो हमारा इलेक्शन कार्ड नहीं है. बोलते हैं इलेक्शन कार्ड लाओ पहले, फिर से वोट डालना.
आपके पास स्लिप है
क्या? पानी से खराब हुआ, सब कुछ खराब हुआ. हमारे घर में क्या है? हम इसलिए वोट डालने आए कि हमने सोचा कि हमें कुछ सहूलियत मिले, तो वोट डालने नहीं देते।
ऑब्जेक्शन ये है कि हमें इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया की तरफ से जो इंस्ट्रक्शंस हैं वो हम फॉलो कर रहे हैं। जैसे आइडेंटिफिकेशन के लिए हम इलेक्शन कार्ड देख रहे हैं, पासपोर्ट किसी के पास होगा, किसी के पास राशन कार्ड होगा, ये सब आइडेंटिफिकेशन के लिए हम मांग रहे हैं इनसे। तो पता नहीं, मतलब ये चीज़ पिंच किसी को हो रहा है तो।
Meanwhile, the Congress on Sunday accused the BJP of taking a U-turn on core issues. Addressing election rallies in Jammu region, senior Congress leader Ghulam Nabi Azad accused the party of appeasing separatists in the Kashmir Valley. Azad said that the people of the Jammu region were feeling cheated as the BJP maintained silence on issues like Article 370, ceasefire violations and terrorism-related violence as it was busy appeasing the separatists in the valley.
मैंने बहुत सारे पहले लीडर देखे थे और आज भी वो जम्मू और कश्मीर में दो बातें करते थे, लेकिन बीजेपी ने सभी पार्टियों को मात कर दिया। जिस डिस्ट्रिक्ट में जाते हैं वो दूसरी उल्टा बोलते हैं। कश्मीर में बीजेपी ने 65 साल जम्मू के हमारे हिंदू भाइयों को गुमराह किया। मैं इल्जाम है बीजेपी पार्टी पे।
Meanwhile, Jharkhand recorded 61.65% turnout in the fourth phase of polls till the figures last came in. With the fate of 217 candidates in 15 constituencies at stake on Sunday, it was a keenly watched contest. The Maoist threat in the seats going to polls was sidelined by the people who came out in large numbers to cast their franchise.
People of Jharkhand lined up outside polling booths for polling in the fourth phase of polls. 15 constituencies of the state, including the mining regions of Dhanbad and Bokaro, went to polls on Sunday. Over 43 lakh voters decided the fate of 217 candidates, including 16 women.
Corruption end हो, because corruption is the main problem. अभी इसे corruption जो corruption end कर सके and local people जो normal people है उनका problem समझ सके. I want that type of सरकार.
झारखंड में सरकार चुनने से ज़्यादा हम लोग स्थानीय को चुनने के लिए यहाँ पे बेताब हैं कि स्थानीय एमएलए हमारा ऐसा हो जो कि विकास का गंगा बहा दे यहाँ।
Polling began at 7 a.m. and ended at 5 p.m. in Dhanbad and Bokaro, even though in the rest of the constituency it ended at 3 p.m. as these are sensitive areas due to Maoist threat. Maoists in the state have called for a boycott of the polls. However, this has not deterred voters from exercising their franchise in large numbers in the past 3 phases. But polling was peaceful, with no reports of violence from any of the 15 constituencies, showing the voters' resolve to defy the boycott call and vote for democracy.
If you see the entire phase, then the turnout is 61.65% till the time the report has come.
Jharkhand is voting for development and, more importantly, a stable government. The BJP has promised both these things to voters. The Congress is fighting the polls in alliance with the RJD and the JDU. The Jharkhand Mukti Morcha is going it alone after breaking up with the Congress. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Moving on now, Home Minister Rajnath Singh addressed a rally at Mahagama in Goda district of Jharkhand on Sunday. He urged voters to bring the BJP to power with absolute majority so that it could bring rapid development in the state. Rajnath said that he was saddened to see the plight of the people of the state even after 14 years of its formation and assured them that the BJP was committed to end their suffering. Goda goes to polls in the 5th phase on December 20th.
भारत का संघीय ढांचा है। बिना केंद्र और राज्य सरकारों के सहयोग के विकास किसी भी सूरत में संभव नहीं हो सकता। इसलिए यदि आपने केंद्र में हमारी सरकार बनाई है बहनों भाइयों, तो हमें झारखंड में भी भारतीय जनता पार्टी की बहुमत के साथ सरकार चाहिए, 2/3 बहुमत के साथ सरकार चाहिए।
Large parts of Dumka Assembly constituency in Jharkhand that goes to polls on the 20th of December remains cut off from any form of government aid for development or welfare programs. Residents of villages here say that they have felt none of the ostensible benefits of living in the constituency of the State Chief Minister Hemant Soren. Here's a report.
Village
reached Murgathali, just 8 kilometers from main Dumka city, among Jharkhand's biggest metros and falling within the assembly constituency limits. Yet the hamlet has felt none of the benefits of being within the Chief Minister's constituency. Education, housing and irrigation facilities remain a far cry. Many here don't have access to even electricity and a regular water supply. There are no government-run healthcare centres and nothing for welfare of widows or the aged. Residents even say they were better off before Jharkhand had been created.
नेता लोग आते हैं यहाँ पर? नहीं, कोई नेता नहीं आता है? नहीं। आपको पेंशन वगैरह मिलता है? नहीं। वृद्धावस्था पेंशन? नहीं मिलता। कोई सरकारी लाभ? सरकारी लाभ कुछ नहीं मिलता है।
No avenues for employment, next to no roads, so they remain virtually cut off from the mainstream. The people of Murgathali are completely caught up with the struggles of everyday life, and their representatives haven't cared for them either, emerging only at election time.
सरकार की ओर से हम लोग क्या मांग रखेंगे? यहाँ पे नेता वोट के समय में आते हैं बरसाती मेढक की तरह, और जैसे ही इलेक्शन खत्म हो जाता है वो चले जाते हैं. यहाँ सरकार नाम का कोई चीज ही नहीं.
Chief Minister Hemant Soren is to be the Vidhan Sabha candidate from Dumka this time too. He'd been elected to the assembly from here in 2009. His father Shibu Soren has been elected to the Lok Sabha from Dumka. Bring the massive shortcomings in Murgathali village to Hemant Soren's attention and he just tells you there's lots that remains to be done.
वृद्धा पेंशन की बात कही, ये बात आपको भी मालूम है कि हमने वृद्धा पेंशन सभी वृद्धाओं को देने को सुनिश्चित किया हुआ, तो ये सवाल ही नहीं होता.
वहाँ एकदम विकास से कैसे दूर है वो गाँव?
मैंने कहा ना, बहुत सारी चीजें अभी बाकी है.
Opposition candidate Lois Morandi of the BJP points out that Murgathali is only one of hundreds of villages in Jharkhand completely left out of the development cycle.
जो सत्ता में बैठे हैं लोग, गांव का जीवन क्या होता है ये उन लोगों को पता ही नहीं है, कभी गांव में रहे नहीं हो. जो विरासत में जिनको मिला है अनुकंपा के हिसाब से, तो उनको ये सारे चीज़ों का नहीं समस्या समझ में आएगा.
In villages of this assembly segment reserved for a lawmaker of the scheduled tribe category, elections come and go, but little has changed. There's only a glimmer of hope that things may get better this time. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Moving on now, among parts of the Kashmir Valley hit by floods in the state in September is Rajouri, that goes to polls in the fifth phase on the 20th of December. The river bridge that had collapsed in the devastation during those floods is a big election issue this time around. Here's a report.
There used to be a bridge across this river once. Before the deluge and floods wreaked havoc in Rajouri in September, what is now a risky rope bridge used to be a solid structure, a key lifeline in the city for trader and schoolgoer, children and elderly alike. In election season, promises to repair the structure is a frequently held out poll promise.
यहाँ पे स्कूली बच्चों को आने जाने में काफ़ी प्रॉब्लम है कि फ्लड में ये जो है पुल के दोनों कोने जो है वो डैमेज हो चुके हैं और बच्चे जो है वो रस्सों पे आ जा रहे हैं. लोग छोटे बच्चे जो हैं पेरेंट्स को उनको स्कूल छोड़ने के लिए साथ आना पड़ता है, फिर छुट्टी के टाइम साथ लेके जाना पड़ता है. आनस नाला है, ये एक काफ़ी हाइट वाला पानी आता है, इसमें बहुत पावर होती है और एक ये पानी बहुत ज़्यादा ठंडा होता है.
Much needed repair of the bridge is lost in bureaucratic formalities and clearances between the district administration, disaster response teams and the centre.
ये इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डैमेज हो चुका है, अब इसके लिए प्रॉपर अप्रूवल चाहिए, ये SDRF के नाउंस में नहीं आता.
Rajouri goes to polls in the fifth and final phase of voting on the 20th of December. And this bridge, or the lack of it, has turned into an emblem of sorts of the absence of many essential needs here. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Well, that's it on this edition of Verdict 2014. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day.